Welcome back. I'd like to thank again the volunteer crew and the Shaw staff that makes this program happen every week. Our guest in this segment is Rhiannon Snaith. Rhiannon is with a group called Vote Ready, and she just pointed out that today, when we're filming this, September the 15th, is the United Nations Day of Democracy. And Vote Ready is a group that holds workshops and events about learning together for a stronger democracy. And I can't think of too many things that are more important. So thank you for doing it, Rhiannon. And maybe you can just tell us what Vote Ready does, what happens at these workshops.
Yeah, well, absolutely. We do throughout the months preceding an election, and we hope to continue even beyond the election for other elections in the future. Exactly what we celebrate on Democracy Day, which is encouraging and promoting conversation and engagement with democracy and informed citizenship and active citizenship. So we run different workshops and events to get people more enthusiastic and more informed and ready for voting.
You mention here a democratic deficit. I agree that there's certainly a democratic deficit. How does this democratic deficit affect everyday people? Is that something you talk about in the workshops?
Well, it's something that we try to take head on, actually. The democratic deficit is a sort of a key word that's been used for more than a decade to describe the level of citizen participation in Canada, not just in elections, but in the political process in general.
In our democracy.
In our democracy.
Yeah. We have a democracy in which citizens are not allowed to participate. How's that for a democracy?
Yeah, or choose not to participate for various reasons, which is, the disengagement from survey feedback that Statistics Canada has done. People feel disengaged because they feel like politics doesn't represent them. They often just don't understand how it all works, and they're confused about how to vote. Lots of reasons that we try and tackle head on in our workshops by creating curriculums that respond to those questions that have come out of research, and also to get people talking amongst each other to realize that within themselves and within their communities, there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of passion and a lot of desire for change that can be harnessed.
Yeah, there sure is. And I think people want democracy. I think people really want some democracy, but in this country today, there doesn't seem to be a lot of it going around. So if I came to one of the workshops, what would we talk about? What's the format?
Well, the workshops that we're focusing on right now in the run-up to the election, one is called Getting Your Bearings, and that's about exploring the political spectrum, breaking down a little bit concepts of left and right, and looking at all the different factors that influence our political opinions, and looking at these politics in a holistic way and trying to find your own place in that spectrum. It's very active, so we play games and we talk with each other and we move around the room. There is a slideshow in the background, but most of what we're doing is dialogue. The people who facilitate the courses, which generally is myself and my partner Alvaro Moreno, and we don't come in as authorities, we come in as facilitators to get the community talking and discovering together. So, a voter advice application that you may have heard of. It's something gaining in popularity around the world. We have one in Canada called Vote Compass, and it puts you through a series of questions that in the end plots you on an XY axis, gives you a space on a grid, and then also plots political parties on the same grid, and you can see your proximity to these different things.
I have seen it. So you answer a bunch of questions and it says you're probably a supporter of the X party.
Yeah, you're able to see on an XY axis, on a grid, where you might be closest to.
Yeah. Well, when I filled it out, it was a couple of years ago, I was happy with the answer. It was where I thought I would be, yeah.
Yes. Well, I think it's a very interesting tool, and they are popular worldwide. And Vote Compass, and in partnership with the CBC, has run it for several years now, and to some acclaim and to some criticism. Yeah. I believe that there is great utility in it, but I also want to go a little bit further and have people engage with the questions more, not just type yes or no into a computer and get an answer, but understand why they end up where they end up on the grid. So in the Getting Your Bearings workshop, that's what we do. We look as a group on these different axes and we find our position. And then that helps us in our research to go out and look at where the parties lie.
Do you guys talk about voting reform at all? Is that something that you go into?
We do have another workshop called Government Electoral Systems. Now, everything we do gets trialed and we receive evaluative feedback from the participants. And what we realized with that is that there's so much desire for the information that we're going to split it into 2 workshops. So we'll have one on government systems and we'll have one on elections. There's a big desire to talk about proportional representation in there, absolutely.
So, I mean, to me, anything that is starting to get people talking about democracy is doing something great. So I hope that that people will be coming, come out to the workshops and so. For example, let's say the issue of, let me pick an issue, genetically, what I call genetically contaminated foods. I think 80% of Canadians, I keep hearing, maybe the number's wrong, want them at least to be labeled, and yet it doesn't matter, right? So how do we deal with that problem with our democracy where our governments don't seem to care what we want?
Right. Well, that's a
big question.
It's a big question, and it goes a little bit beyond voting, and that's absolutely something that is at the core of Vote Ready's principles, is that we're not just encouraging voting, we're encouraging active citizenship. And that is an ongoing thing that happens with community and as individuals, with our MPs, with other community groups, and in all kinds of ways being active to inform the government of what we think and to build strength as a community to drive those impressions home and perhaps change legislation.
Yeah. The people who come to the workshops, you said you get feedback from them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do people feel they're learning about democracy or helping build democracy or blah, blah, blah?
Well, it depends which workshop exactly that they come to. We do have the Getting Your Bearings, which I was talking a bit about how we do activities in that. We also look at theories of representation in our candidates and campaigns workshop, in the government electoral systems, and other forms of citizen engagement and beyond voting. So the outcome is always going to depend on the content. But generally what we hear is that people feel inspired, they enjoy talking with their peers, they enjoy voicing their own opinions. It's a forum that they don't encounter very often. Part of our democratic deficit is that people don't even talk to each other about politics. It's sort of just a non-topic. So this provides a venue for that to happen, and often people realize they have more knowledge than they thought they did, or they learn new knowledge from their peers or from our presentations, and they tend to be motivated by it. We get a lot of people who say they will vote, even if they haven't before, or that they're inspired to be active citizens, do things like petition, join groups, and remain politically active.
Yeah, and all of that is important, but boy, we're kind of in late innings here as far as the planet goes, for example, and I think a lot of people know that, and we want to save ourselves. And yet our governments, I mean, it really is democracy that we need, I think. And I think the area of citizen participation and kind of demanding some democracy is what we have to do, because if we don't very quickly, I don't know where we're going.
Yeah, I do agree, and so I think that initiatives like Vote Ready, and not just ours, but any initiative that engages the public, we've been very lucky to be endorsed by the Council of Canadians, which is Canada's largest citizen group. They do incredible work across the country, on all kinds of issues, and campaigning and education, and programs like this program where we are providing a forum.
So have you got, you do have some events coming up in October, yes?
Yes, we do, yeah. On October 6th, we'll be at the Greater Victoria Public Library, another one of our endorsers. They've been very generous with their support and space. So we'll be at the downtown branch doing candidates and campaigns. And then again on October 7th, we'll be at the Wandafuka branch of the Greater Victoria Public Library doing that same workshop.
And people can go to the website, voteready.ca?
Yes, at voteready.ca, all our events are listed. We also have some community cafe, which is an opportunity for conversation, and sometimes with a special guest. We also have pop-up kiosks, which go through voter ID requirements, how to register, questions about the election, and a practice vote where you can actually cast a ballot if you've never done that before.
Yeah, I guess there are people who've never done that.
Yeah, and they say, how? It's so easy.
We've got 1 minute left, and we've got some pictures, so maybe for the last minute we can just show some of the pictures. Would that be okay?
Great, yeah, pictures of how we do the community education, working together for a better democracy.
Rhiannon, Snaith, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack.
And thanks for watching this segment of Citizens Forum, and enjoy the pictures.